Aside from that, I wanted to ask you about Spurs. 3 defeats on the bounce. They go to Man City this weekend.
Oh,
They're still getting praise over losing, which I do find obscure. It is obscure. Do you think it's going to be 4 on a bounce?
I don't know. It's at the Etihad, right?
Yes.
To be honest, if there's one team that is kind of kryptonite to Pep, it is Tottenham, isn't it? But mate, they're getting praise for losing because they're Tottenham and they're not expected to win, and because they've been playing this Ange ball, as they're calling it. Like, and they started the season well, and he's the flavour of the season so far. It's not De Zerbi anymore; it's now him. The media love to hype up a manager every year. This year it's Ange. Last year it was De Zerbi. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It goes around in cycles, but they're so naive. It is crazy, Tottenham. Like, everyone's praising them. Like, and listen, they should have battered Villa. Let's just have it right. They should have battered them. They should have been 5-0 up at half time, but they didn't. Yeah, and if you don't take your chances, eventually you get caught out. And you know, yes, they've got injuries, but so's everyone. Everyone's got injuries, mate. Like Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, every team's got injuries. Chelsea got injuries. So injuries ain't an excuse. If you build a squad that's capable, but the fact that they're only 4 points off the top, having lost 3 in a row, it just shows how mad the league is right now. Like, they're literally only 4 off. Is it 4 off? Yeah, it's 4.
Yeah, Man United are 6 points at the top. To put it into context and how bad we've been.
We've got 5 games.
Yeah, but we have we've won 8 games, which we haven't been great in them. But the fact that only you and City have won more games than Man United this year, it's crazy.
But the thing is, that's where draws kill you.
Yeah,
because if you draws, it's just a waste. You're better off having win loss rather than having draws. Because look at Newcastle last season. If they'd turned 3 or 4 draws into wins, they would have finished a lot higher up and closer to the title.
Yeah, of course.
So it's draws that kill you. But yeah, Tottenham are a funny team because I'm seeing some of their content creators and people on social media talking about, it's a bit of a problem, and this. Well, it weren't a problem when you're all singing you got your Tottenham back. It weren't a problem when you were winning games and Daniel Levy, after you got knocked out of the League Cup, was telling you you've got your Tottenham back, and you're all in the concourse. Yeah, smacking the concourse to pieces, giving it, we've got our Tottenham back and Ange Postecoglou and all of that. All of a sudden, they get a needle in their balloon and pop their balloon, and all of a sudden, it's a slight problem. We're going to lose 4 in a row now, and all of a sudden the mood changes. And this is why when Tottenham fans were getting onto Sava, saying, "Oh, we are in a title race. We're in a title race," mate, the title ain't done in November. And if you go back, 27 days ago, they were top of the league. Yeah, and that is why, when people get on to people like Sava, people like me and that, celebrate in May, mate. Yeah, it's all well and good cheering your team. Celebrate how you like. That's up to you, yeah? But don't criticise Sava for not saying he's in a title race when he knows his team. Yeah, and his team ain't been in a title race since, Poch was there 8 years ago or whatever, 7 years ago, when Conte won it. So, this is the thing for me. It's like, they're a decent team. They'll create chances, but ultimately they ain't good enough and they won't win anything. And this is what I said when he got the job. He's a decent manager. They'll play good football, but they're very naive with their football. They only have one style of play. Yeah, and you're trying to do that with players that are not necessarily fitting that system. Yeah, and yes, he's got a tune out of some of them crap players. Eric Dyer, I know he didn't play at the weekend, but Eric Dyer's looked all right in that team. But they're a totally different team when Van der Ven's not in there. They're a totally different team without Maddison in there. Son's fallen off a cliff since Maddison's been out of the team. Like, I watched them against Wolves the other week. They were shocking. Son was shocking. Son was shocking at the weekend. Yeah, but then he'll go in a little purple patch and everyone will say, "Oh, he's the best player in the league." Yeah, it's similar to Rashford. Like, he'll go in a purple patch, he'll score 9 in 10 or 10 in 9. And everyone will go, "Oh, what a player." And then he won't score for 6, 7, 8, 9 games. And it's like, they're a good team, but they're not going to win anything.
Yeah, there's a comment that came through here that says, Terry, they praise the performance, not the loss. But that's where I think the issue is, because there is a difference between a performance and your style of play. There's a difference between style of play and game management. There are fundamental differences. The style of play was amazing in that first half. They played sensational football. But the performance also includes how you defend. And the game management also includes how much energy you expended in that first 45 minutes and then fell off the edge of a cliff. And for me, when Liverpool first had Jurgen Klopp and he was playing that gun-ho football, but conceding a lot of goals and losing and drawing games, he was criticised. I remember when Unai Emery took over at Arsenal and he was trying to get Petr Cech to play it from the back. And the media and the pundits said, but I know you want to play your style, but you don't do that when you don't have the right personnel. So I've seen managers in the past criticised for trying to implement their style.
Sorry, the one thing I will say is when Jurgen Klopp went into Liverpool, he did exactly the same. Yeah, and they were doing exactly the same as Emery, the same as Ange. Yeah, like they're playing the same style that they want to play, but they haven't got the players to do it. Yeah, which is, I'd say on one hand naive, but on the other hand, it's like, right, this is my philosophy. This is how I want to play. Yeah, and we're going to get everyone to play it. So then the ones that do stay after the next window and the window after that, they already know what they're doing. Now I have to just find some to fit in.
And I think there's a good strategy to that. But game management is still different because you can play your style of football without using all your energy. And I think that's what Jurgen Klopp improved on. As he got to sort of 18 months, 2 years in, his team would play with a great intensity, maybe for the first 10, 15 minutes. And then they'd sit off a little bit. They'd still play with intensity and try and score. But if you run at a team and press a team hard for 40, 50 minutes, no matter how fit you are, you fall off. And I think those elements Ange can be criticised on. I think that's Ange's naivety at this level of the game. He's not in Scotland. He's not playing with the team because in Scotland, Celtic are generally, along with Rangers, the best team. They are, generally speaking, superior to everybody else in the league by a country mile. And you can probably do that. In the Premier League, you can't, especially if you don't take those chances and kill a team off. And they come a cropper on that one, there's no doubt. But yeah, look, Spurs for me, I still think that they can make the top four. It's going to be interesting if they lose 4 on the bounce. By the way, if they take the lead against City and lose, they'll become the first team ever in English football history to take the lead 4 games running and to lose all 4. That's a stat you don't want. That's a stat you don't want. But we'll see.
It was funny at full time on that game, right? What's the woman's name on Sky Sports? What's her name? Kenny Dalglish's daughter. I can't remember her name. Yeah, and she said to Roy Keane, "What did you make of that?" And he went, "Oh, Spursy." Literally Spursy. It's just like, mate, you're just sitting there straight faced, just ripping Spurs apart. Spursy. And that is Spurs. It doesn't matter who they have as manager, it doesn't matter who they have as players, they will always be Spursy. Yeah, they will always have moments where you just go, well, only Spurs could do that. Yeah, and like I said, they should have been 5 up at half time. Yeah, and they carried on playing, and cool, they were creating chances and all that. But Unai Emery, 2 subs in the 46th minute or whatever it was, won the game. Yeah, won the game. Yeah, and they had no reply to that, really. Yeah, and let's be real. I didn't see the first half. I only see the highlights of the first half. I watched the second half. Yeah, but when Sky was showing the highlights at half time of all the chances, I was just like, wow, how are they not 5-0 up? Yeah, and then, but that is Tottenham. Yeah, and that is the Premier League. You can't miss chance after chance after chance and then just expect to keep playing the same way and finish them. You have to find different pockets of play and different areas on the pitch to manipulate, because eventually that team will suss you out, especially when it comes into half time. And then they can regroup and say, right, what we need to do better in the second half is stop them down this end. And let's be real, Tottenham didn't create as many chances second half as the first. Not clean cut ones anyway.
No. They kind of run out of ideas, and they kind of, we see it happen so much in football where teams start the way they did and don't kill teams off. Even Everton did it against us. We took the lead. Took them about 10, 15 minutes to get themselves going again. And then they had 2 or 3 really good opportunities. Some good saves from Onana, which you can't kind of blame them for. But the Corey should have scored. And then once they'd missed those chances, and then we started to have the better of the play again, I felt quite relaxed. Because my feeling was, I don't think they're good enough to have a spell like that again. Especially after we scored our second goal. I thought it was done and dusted. So you have, in the Premier League, you just have to take your chances. Otherwise, you end up coming a cropper. And look, I think Viganja's done a good job so far. I like how they play football. I think there's much to praise. They do have injuries. But I think for me, my back's just up, really. When I saw him being compared to Sir Alex Ferguson, it rattled me pink. It rattled me pink. And I just think to myself, like, slow down with that kind of praise. But it's ridiculous. And I also felt a bit sorry for the Savas and Kates and Allens that come on the terrace, who were really happy with how the season was going. But we're just basically saying, we're getting called out for not staying there in a title race. We're being called out for saying that I don't think the squad is good enough yet. And as soon as those injuries hit, 3 defeats on the bounce, which is, you know, not very many teams have lost 3 games on the bounce so far this season in the Premier League. You know, not even
ultra toxic positive, Terry. Otherwise, you're a hater and you're a fraud and you're a
no. There is time for realism. There's time for realism. There's no doubt.
No, it's not about realism, man. You have to live in Disneyland. Yeah, it's all about fairy tales, Terry.
Some people feel like that, though, bro. Some people are kind of weird like that.
Yeah, that's cool. But that's fine. Fantastic. Be like that. Yeah, but don't be kicking off on people that ain't like that. Like,
no, I hear you, bro.
I said this on the show I did last night, right? Let's say you've got 3 brothers, 3 sisters, and you're sat around the dinner table. Mum and dad serve up the dinner and that, yeah, right? And Messi's just scored a hat trick at the weekend or whatever. Yeah, and Ronaldo only scored a couple, but whatever. And you're having a debate, and dad pops up and says, "Yo, yeah, oh Messi, what a player, man, greatest of all time." The whole dinner table, the whole family go, "Yeah, I totally agree." And then one person at the table, your sister, your brother, whoever it may be, "Nah, Ronaldo, mate. Ronaldo's the greatest of all time." You're not going to say, "You're a fake, get him out of the family, you're banished, I don't want to see you." You're not going to, this shit don't happen in real life, Terry.
No, mate, I hear you. Look, I've had it this week because I celebrated us beating Everton. Oh, you can't celebrate because you want the manager gone. I'm like, well, I want the manager gone based on what he said.
You're not allowed to celebrate, and I have to celebrate.
But that's exactly it. And I turned around to the guy and said, well, I didn't say I wanted him sacked for any other reason, really. Then he's not trying to, he's told us he's not trying to implement the style of play that I wanted from him. And if he's trying to do something else, I don't think he's got that in his locker, because managers are very one-track minded nowadays in terms of how they play. So it's a fairly logical reason, but that doesn't mean I want to lose. It doesn't mean I won't celebrate wins. You know, I don't want Martial at Man United anymore, but I praised him on Sunday because he played well and he scored a goal and won us a penalty. So I'll praise him because I don't have an agenda against Martial or an agenda against Ten Hag. The same as Sav and Kate and Alan and a lot of the Spurs fans that were happy with being top, were happy with the start to life under Postecoglou, but also believed a lot more needs to happen before they're ready to try and take Man City's Premier League title away. I don't understand why there is no room for balance on these subjects. It's crazy to me. It really, really is.